I mean, I definitely think that this upcoming raid has a chance to be one of the best raids ever. Bear with me for a second. It has literally nothing to do with the bosses. If I had never even tested any of the bosses, this is an opinion that basic. That theme matters a lot, and they are so doubling and tripling down on the theme that so many people might end up loving this raid and this patch just because of the atmosphere around it. And if the raid ends up being like good to above average, it may make it feel like it's fucking crazy good. Because the flavor is just crazy good. It's just simply amazing. There's no other way around that. It's just really fucking good. So because of that, if you're looking at like hitting a home run, all of those raids we've mentioned that are like the GOATs, right? Like the 3 we just mentioned, Blackrock Foundry, Throne of Thunder, and Castle Nathria. All of those raids were good because they had very good raid bosses, but like also they're all really fucking cool raids. Like what it looks like to be in them gives you a feeling that you don't get when you're in like Oldir, you know? It's just it's a real thing. Like the atmosphere and what it looks like, the aesthetic of a raid really fucking matters. The aesthetic of this raid and the music in this raid is like 10 out of 10 goated. So if they can end up having a couple of the fights be pretty good and memorable, like all-time memorable, then I think it has a chance to be one of those raids. That's my take. I would be making this take if I literally never saw a raid boss, because I'm actually kind of indifferent on the raid. There's not even a single boss, really, where I'm like, this boss is a turbo banger. None of them. Literally none of them. Now, I haven't seen Gallywix, and that's the most important one, but like none of the bosses to me are like, this is going to be awesome. Now, I don't have a 100% hit rate on that. Sometimes I think bosses are going to be awesome and they stink, and sometimes I think bosses are going to stink and they're going to be awesome, because they change a lot from testing. But the aesthetic hard carries, I think. Do you feel the bosses in Undermine are kind of mid? Yeah. But they're not bad. Like, none of the bosses in Undermine are actively bad fights at all. They're just kind of whatever. I'm basing this all off of testing, but this was a pretty interesting test cycle. So like testing started in the middle of January and they like speed ran it, but that's because all the devs were like on Christmas vacation for multiple weeks. So like 2 months before this patch, all the devs took a couple weeks off. That would slow down how ready you are for a patch, no matter who you are, right? Because that's just how like working on things works. So maybe it's like more things are going to be finished like closer to the raid this time because of specifically that week. We don't often have raids like right after the holidays. It's actually more common that we have a raid like November, December than it ever is to be in like January, February. It's very rare. I think the last raid we had in January, February was Nyalotha. And then before that, it was Battle of Dazar'alor, top of my head. I may be missing one. But it's like 2 raids in the last like 10 years have been in January or February. Bandit in the Smolderon slot seems like a heater. Yeah, I think that one has a chance to be good, but like, have you tested it? We had a great test on Bandit. We know what the whole fight looks like, and we know exactly how we want to do it. But like, you know, it's just like a boss. I don't know. It doesn't slap to me, but maybe it will, you know? Max, for you guys, I feel like tuning plays a much larger part in whether something slaps. That's true of everyone, though. So you said, like, Sludge Fist wasn't mechanically complex, but it was... Sludge Fist was mechanically complex. Sludge Fist was so hard. But it was awesome because of the check. Yeah, but, like, okay. So, look at this, this last raid, right? Like, Nexus Princess Kaiveza. That boss was tuned to be super hard, but we had to, like, one-tank it. That made the boss significantly worse because the tuning was off in the other direction. If they made Sludge Fist... like you got to the end of the boss and then it just died, you didn't have to optimize damage, it would make it a little bit less, but the boss still owned. You know, Guardians of the first ones in Sepulchre, which was right after Sludge Fist. It was the Sludge Fist V2 right after Sludge Fist, but it sucked. It was super easy, but also even if it was like a hard burn, it wouldn't have been as cool because it's just not as cool of a boss. Like Sludge Fist is a... Have you ever looked at Sludge Fist, dude? He's a fucking beast. Look at this idiot. This guy's a fucking giant Giga Chad with a gravestone on his back, dude. It's a beast. Aesthetic, man. Aesthetic really matters. But I think tuning matters for everyone, man. Like if a boss that's super cool just gets fucking one shot, it's just, I mean, a boss that gets shit on can only be so good. It's like an Elden Ring thing, right? Like why do people revere Elden Ring? It's that feeling of like getting smoked by a boss for like 15, 20 tries, but then like you're getting better every time and you finally beat it. Like in those first 20 pulls, you're like, this game sucks, fuck this game. And then you kill it and you're like, this matters so much to me. And then you'll like get a fucking display of that boss. And like, you'll just, anytime your friend is pulling that boss on stream, you're going to watch that shit. And that boss means something to you. It can only mean something to you if you go through that, you know? Like if you just walk up to an Elden Ring boss and put that little dude in the sink, you know, you just fucking rinse that idiot. You are never going to think about that boss ever again because it's just easy. Something requiring a challenge to get through is the only way you'll care about it. They should make one less raid and expansion and make 2 raids and have them be bigger and give a better difficulty curve. No, fuck that. Bigger raids are not better or higher quality. Oh, someone actually sent me a message on Twitter recently about a comment I made on a podcast. I basically said, like, you know what I would be a fan of? Blizzard, the corporation, just hiring more people so they can do more work. Because I'm like, I haven't worked in a ton of jobs like that, but that just seems easy to me. And then he brought up something to me that seemed kind of smart. Here's what he said. Yo, Max, I was listening to a podcast the other week, and I liked the discussion you guys had about adding more devs and production people to teams at Blizzard that work on different areas of WoW, the challenges that presents, and whether or not it helps timelines that are already too tight. I'm a software developer working in a non-gaming industry, and among us developers and project managers is a concept called Brooks Law, which is the theory that adding more people to a project that's already running late actually just ends up making it even later. There's even a book about it called The Mythical Man Month, where the main idea is if you look at the effort left to complete a project and try to measure it in terms of how much work one person can do per month, you can't just speed the process up by adding more people, which in parentheses man months, to the project. It's a pretty interesting issue, and it just drives the point home that you can't do much to fix a timeline that is way too tight, even if you have a bunch of people you could pull in to work on the project. Most people working in software in any capacity have probably seen this happen where something is late. Executives throw more people at the problem to try to fix it and ends up worse off and even later than it could have been. So, and then he ended up just saying, like, love the podcast. I hope you like my ramble. But I found that crazy interesting. I never thought about that. So maybe that is a thing. What is it? Brooks Law applies to something that's already overscheduled, though, not continued development. Yeah, but I think... So first of all, yes, I'm not saying this directly applies to Blizzard. I just was not aware of that, and I find that interesting. But, like, I think Blizzard is kind of constantly behind. Like, I think they operate from, like, being late on a deadline, like, literally forever, because they're trying to churn out so much content. So it kind of does always apply because they're always not caught up.